Saturday night. You know, when we used to do the hotline in the 90s, Mad Zombie used to say, Saturday night's all right for fighting. I think that was an Elton John song. I was never an Elton John fan, by the way. Bye, Yellow Brick Road. Yeah, I got a haircut today. I got them all cut.
Yeah, I see that. Looking snazzy.
Yeah. I took a dump earlier, everyone, and the toilet water was crackling. Mish, you missed it on Thursday, Mish. We had some fun. And on Thursday, I tried the WWF gummy treats from 1999. And we also tried the WCW Sting Crazy Dips. And the funny thing about it is inside the package, you get a free WCW sticker. And if you think about my history of having issues with some people in wrestling, who do you think of all the stickers that they were giving away in 1999, who do you think ended up being the sticker inside the pack? Now, it's not Bully Ray, even though some people thought because Bully Ray did not wrestle for WCW in 1999. But who do you think was the sticker?
Man, I remember the long, heated debates you had back in the day about Kwee-Wee. I think Kwee-Wee was probably the sticker.
Oh, no. It was none other than Stevie Ray. Some people that remember the little back and forth with Stevie Ray at the time, I opened it up and I laughed. I said, yeah, could have only been Stevie Ray out of everybody.
That's a little bit of irony there, sir. Little irony.
Yeah. But I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. Tonight, easy show. We're going to talk about the draft. I know it's 2 weeks away, 13 days away, but you know, a lot of people were like, well, why are you doing it this weekend? Why not do it next weekend? Well, next weekend, we got a big week with AEW. Dynamite taking place from Queens, New York. Rampage taking place from Queens, New York.
4 hours at that.
Yeah,
too.
4 hours. Right. So that is, I mean, it would be totally wrong for me not to dedicate next Saturday's Don Tony show talking about Rampage and a few other things. So doing the draft tonight seems to be the best way to go. Now, since we're doing this show before Monday night, you know, I had some fun yesterday with this, but, you know, I wanted to see what kind of response I got online, but I wanted to see if anybody even did their diligence to research why even this match is going down. But Monday, they announced on Raw, we're going to get the Bloodline versus the New Day. And, you know, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, why didn't they wait for Survivor Series? This is horrible. They should have waited. First of all, if anybody's followed Survivor Series for the last God knows how many years, it's usually heavyweight champion versus heavyweight champion. Titles, tag champs versus tag champs. The New Day are not tag champs right now. Right. They wanted to do this match. And remember also, WWE is going to England. They left today or tomorrow to go to England. The Usos and Roman Reigns were not going on that trip. They were always supposed to wrestle on Monday night. It was a dark match, and they decided to give it to everyone. Now, let me just tell you, Mish, how people are hypocrites. Stupid. They're all triggered about this match being done on free TV when they say it should have been on pay-per-view. But yet, they're fine with Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega.
I know. It's a weird dichotomy. A lot of these fans that are upset about New Day
You're
versus
getting good
Bloodline.
matches, man. Shut up.
It is. No, that's exactly what it is. It's like, and I don't think that these contingent of fans that are really upset about this even understood how fun wrestling was back during the Attitude Era. I hate to go back to that, but every damn episode of Nitro, every damn episode of Raw was constantly littered with great matches, great setups, great angles, great promos. So it's like now we're at the point where AEW is kind of bringing some of that back. even if you're not an AEW fan, you have to recognize AEW and WWE are escalating what they consider good television. And it's about damn time. It's about damn time. Dude, I'm not the biggest AEW fan in the world, but do you think for 1 second I am not thankful that WWE television, in my opinion, has been better than anything they've done in the last couple of years? It's been amazing since SummerSlam, and I know people will argue that, and that's fine. But there are some great damn moments that have been happening on WWE, all because of AEW. So,
second thing is, I think a lot of people didn't realize this too. Ray Guns, what's up, my friend? Are we buying the Lily doll?
Why, is it on sale?
No.
Is it on sale?
No. He's asking if I think he meant the Charlie doll. I have, she's hanging out. Let me tell you something, Mish. No joke.
Yeah.
I want to make my point first, finishing up what we just talked about.
All right.
Let me show you more hypocrites. Last week in Madison Square Garden on SmackDown, after SmackDown went off the air, John Cena teamed up with the Mysterios against Roman Reigns and Usos, I believe. Something like that.
Right.
And I saw all these people online. Wait a minute. John Cena was in the Garden? Why isn't that on TV? So when dark matches happen, they want it on TV. And when dark matches go on TV, it should have been dark matches or pay-per-views.
Honestly, it's smart. I mean, if WWE has a lot of secret matches and dark matches on the caliber of the Mysterios and John Cena, that's going to bring more people to want to go see these shows live, which is exactly what WWE wants right now, is more and more people to go see these house shows and these events live. Because what happens if you miss these big matches, you know?
Lily Doll, want to shout out special someone in WWE for sending me 5 of these, and sent a little note saying that can't get me any Charlie dolls until November. They're actually being made as we speak. I also want to shout out to other people that work for WWE, and I say this with the utmost respect, who sent me DMs saying that they sent me the Bray Wyatt stuff a couple of weeks ago when I know that they didn't, because they don't have my home address. So when I mentioned the Bray Wyatt photos that I got, and I didn't even know that they were coming, I said, whoever sent it, thank you. Now, of all the people that I know who could have sent it, only one had my home address. If it would have been sent to my office, then I would have said, okay, I don't know who sent it. But when I thanked it and didn't know who it was at the time, 2 people stepped up and said, yeah, I sent it. I hope you enjoyed it. And then when the person, said, oh, I hope you like the Bray Wyatt stuff, I'll get a couple of lilies over to you to give away on the shows, and I'll get you some Charlies too. Then I put 2 and 2 together. I was like, hold on a minute. They were sent to my house. There's only one person that I'm aware of in WWE that has my home address. So I got them. Let me tell you something. I know overall we don't like this gimmick at all. We don't like it. I mean, it's ran its course. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how much these are selling for. I think you said they were $30.
Yeah, I think actually I thought the Lily dolls were $20 and the Charlie dolls were $40 or $39.99. You know how that works.
I will tell you right now, if anybody out there has been thinking about getting one of these, get it. I make no money off of this. I get gifts. But even when I get gifts, if they suck, I'll say they suck. Let me tell you a couple of things about this Lily doll that I can tell you right off the bat. It's heavier than you think. It's heavier than you think. Here's another thing. If you look at the teeth up close.
Yeah.
I want to do it in light. That's not styrofoam. That's not plush. Those are actual, plastic teeth that are attached to it.
Those are actual teeth. I'm like, what?
I don't know if you can hear it. They're actual.
Yeah.
They're actual plastic teeth.
And
they're all skulls. If you look at them close, they're all skulls. They're actually plastic. The eyes, are obviously buttons. And I'll tell you, the hair, no joke. I don't like dolls. I never played with dolls when I was a kid. Even when, no, I never did. Because even when you undressed them, you realize, there was no private parts, male or female.
Right.
But the hair, beautiful, soft. This is all leather. It's actually leather. I mean, it's pleather. It's not real leather. Right. But I tell you, and it's not removable. You cannot remove it. You can't play Ric Flair. You can't. Yeah, you can't play Ric Flair. Woo. Yeah. But I tell you, for $20 or even $30, it is well worth it.
I can't breathe on her and put it in her hands now.
No.
Okay.
Let's put her back.
No, it's cool.
Pick it up.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. Actually, never mind.
No, it's okay.
Sorry. I was wondering, and I don't know about this, but is the Charlie doll going for some kind of charity?
Good question. I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
The Charlotte Flair Foundation.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No, look, she's going to get a percentage of it. I will tell you this much. I mean, if the Charlie doll is the same quality as this, it's worth it. It's worth it. I mean, it is what it is. And by the way, see, someone had made this up for me. I wanted to have some type of a tribute to Daffney in the background. Made me up a Georgia license plate with Daffney's name on it. I thought that was pretty cool. So rest in peace, Daffney. Rest in peace. Want to just get this Dark Side of the Ring stuff out of the way. Plane Ride from Hell.
Yeah, let's just jump right into that. Huh?
First of all, lowest rated Dark Side of the Ring episode of all time. Lowest of all time.
It was weird, to be fair. First off, this isn't the beginning of a new season. This is the halfway point of season 3. Yeah. Last week or the week before that, they had a weird sit down with Jericho and the 2 creators, and they kind of went through all the previous episodes of Dark Side of the Ring, while at the same time talking a little bit about the previews of the upcoming episodes of Dark Side of the Ring for this second half of the season. I don't know. I mean, me catching that off guard, I didn't see many people talking about that at all. For as much buzz as Dark Side of the Ring has gotten lately, it's like nobody even cared, or at least I wasn't seeing much on, social media from people talking about what was going to come up in season 3. I mean, I'm really interested in the Kanyon episode. I'm really interested in the Luna Vachon episode. Like, FMW is going to be insane. So I mean, it's not like they don't have good content planned. Like, these are definitely some stories that need to be told that could be a lot of fun, or at least interesting to watch. Now, as far as the Plane Ride from Hell, I wonder if the reason that it got such a low response, because I'm sure a lot of people have watched it on their YouTube. I think they posted it on their YouTube as well. But I think that there's such a low response is because people didn't expect to hear anything new from the Plane Ride from Hell. Like, the stories have kind of been permeating for years, for what, 20 years now almost?
Well, I want to read an excerpt. Just a little excerpt, transcript. Okay? The flight attendant. What was her first name? Heidi Boyle, I think her name was. Heidi Doyle? Okay.
Right.
She said that Ric Flair flashed his nakedness, spinning his penis around. He separately grabbed her, placed her hand on his crotch, and then forcibly detained and restrained Doyle from leaving the back of the galley on the airplane, where he sexually assaulted her. Other wrestlers on the flights also passed out syringes to the flight attendants with the instructions of throwing them in the garbage.
Right.
All other points during the flight, and it goes on and on and on. But the part, he grabbed Doyle's hand, placed it on his crotch, and then forcibly detained and restrained Doyle. He flashed his nakedness, spinning his penis around. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not a transcript from this Dark Side of the Ring episode. That was Grantland's article from 10 years ago. That big, long article that talked about all of Flair's marital problems, everything that led to the 30 for 30. Those exact words were written in articles in 2002, in 2004, in 2005, in 2009, in 2011, in 2016. Just like when Dark Side of the Ring gets to Ashley Mazzaro, you watch all these people that are going to act like they had no idea about the alleged sexual assault overseas with tribute troops. My point is this. When I see people in the chat room saying that Ric Flair's in a whole lot of trouble right now, no, he's not. No. Carshield? Woo! Carshield knew all these stories. Everybody knew all these stories. It's just that the problem is, and I brought this up yesterday, and this is why so many people hate my guts. For the last 19 years, how many podcasters, video and audio only? How many shows? How many bloggers? How many people talked about shoot interviews and shoots and everything else? And when stories of the plane ride from hell would go on, everybody would chuckle. I don't want to start anything against Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette knew about this episode 3, 4, 5 months ago. And he called the actions on the plane, quote, tomfoolery. Everyone, why don't you Google the definition of tomfoolery? Now, the debate we're having tonight, it's not about Ric Flair.
Okay. No. Let's pause there for a second, because I want to throw this out there, because I know where we're going. I know where we're going with this. But let me add some gravity to this entire episode. Mm-hmm. The fact that the knee-jerk reaction from people in the wrestling industry to what happened on the plane ride from hell is considered nothing more than another day at the office should make people question what was worse than this. What did it take for wrestlers, staff members, other people inside the industry to think, oh, the plane ride from hell wasn't that bad. Matter of fact, we've seen a bunch worse. What was worse? What are these instances where they can look at a woman being assaulted, people being insanely drunk, passing out drugs throughout the plane, shooting up, dosing, H-bombing one another for funsies, Scott Hall almost dying, and that's considered just another day. What did it take for these people to take this seriously? What was a situation that it was above and beyond this to where it wasn't tomfoolery?
I agree 100%. See, the Ric Flair stuff, Ric Flair's not in a whole load of trouble right now. I threw out this comment yesterday, and when I throw my ideas out there, I want to make this clear that since 1997, I've told everyone, I don't want to be first, I want to be right. And I wrote this yesterday, and I watch a bunch of people come to me and say, oh, I said this last week. I said this a month ago. I said this back here. I'd say, that's fine. If you said it before me, that's awesome. Great minds think alike. But I thought about it last night, and I said, you know what? I wonder if WWE and Ric Flair mutually agreed to part ways because they saw this a mile away, that as soon as this gets released, and the people in wrestling that said, dude, the stuff that this woman said and everything, it's going to rip open old scars that, everybody thought was buried because of the lawsuits being settled and everything. And I truly believe that WWE and Ric Flair a month ago saw this coming and said, you know what, let's part ways for now. And Ric Flair could say that he just wanted to do other projects, and WWE let him go because now WWE released Ric Flair instead of having to fire Ric Flair.
Right.
And plus, even if they did not fire Ric Flair over this, you would have had cancel culture breathing down WWE's neck for years and years and years. Oh my God. They kept
I'm surprised he didn't lose his insurance gigs. I'm surprised he didn't lose his commercials already. Look, I mean, we're going to get to Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
But Tommy Dreamer's already lost his job over this. And Tommy Dreamer didn't do what Ric Flair did. And it was
I
even
think
an interesting
Tommy Dreamer
point
did worse.
at the end. Well,
I think
how's
Dreamer
that?
did worse.
Why?
I think he did worse.
Why?
Now, I'm going to say my words very respectably, very carefully. Because one thing I think people need to understand with Dark Side of the Ring is, and I'm being serious right now, you know, one thing that I absolutely love about doing these shows with you and with everybody that tunes in is that everybody takes time to be real and have deep combo that no one else, I don't want to say wants to have, but maybe they just can't. Maybe they feel too uncomfortable to. So I don't want to rip anybody for that, but we have some very deep combo and we express how we feel. And I think Dark Side of the Ring, I think in some ways, when they say that, like one guy said he lost sleep over this episode, every fucking detail about what Flair did to Doyle and what other people did to each other has been out there for 19 years. The more I hear them say they lost sleep putting this episode together, I think those are the episodes where they orgasmed. Oh my God. Oh man, it's going to be so much controversy. We're going to get so much press over this. We're going to win awards.
You're
I don't
not
think people
wrong.
lose sleep over that.
You're not wrong.
I think Dark Side of the Ring has to be extremely careful because Ric Flair got the car shield job with all this being common knowledge already. The Grantland article that I just read came out 10 years ago. It didn't come out 50 years ago. There was a 15-year anniversary only a few years ago. Everybody and their mother knows what Ric Flair did in the past.
Right.
And they still hired him. I think Dark Side of the Ring has got to be extremely careful because somebody's going to kill himself over this. I know that sounds crazy. Someone is going to get canceled. Nothing about Ric Flair from this episode is new. And it doesn't make it right. Look, the way I feel about this, Tommy Dreamer should have been fired from Impact Wrestling, and I'll explain why in a few moments. But the Ric Flair stuff, I don't even think about Ric Flair in this anymore because for 19 years, anytime Ric Flair was on a wrestling show, how come people that were so angry, why did they just allow it when the Hall of Fame twice? Where are all these people? We got to set up a petition. This guy sexually assaulted someone, and all these U-shoots, they laugh it off. This is Flair being Flair. He's got a big dick. He likes to whip it around. He likes to go over this. Hey, everybody, look at my penis. Look what I can do. I can make it do tricks. You know, it's fun to do if you're in the mirror in your house.
I haven't tried it yet. I'll have to take your word for it.
You know, I can't do that.
What are you saying? It's not big enough to make it in a helicopter?
No. Here's my point about this whole thing. Everything about Ric Flair, we knew already.
Yeah.
It was talked about over and over and over again. I saw people trying to justify this by saying, oh, there's a whole new generation of fans that are only learning about this for the first time. The fuck are you talking about?
There's a little truth to that.
Every podcaster, every shoot interview at some point has talked about this. People are like debating, like it hasn't been on the internet. That's a load of shit.
You want a good example of this? Here, let me give you an example. Everybody's watched The Sopranos, right? Everybody's seen The Sopranos. They know about The Sopranos, right? I've never watched more than one or two episodes.
Yeah, me too. I like Sopranos.
It's the most popular show in the history of what? Showtime? And it's like, what? I've only watched one or two episodes. So that doesn't mean anything. The fact that the plane ride from hell has been talked about ad nauseum, as you said, it's been talked about ad nauseum through different podcasts, different news outlets, wrestling websites, non-wrestling websites.
It's on every What Culture countdown on YouTube.
it doesn't mean that everybody's paid attention to everything
Right.
from that.
Well, that's their fault.
There was
you don't cancel someone out because you chose to ignore it for 19 years.
Yeah, but you can't sit there and fault them for not knowing better. You know what I mean? That's
their ignorance. That's their ignorance. I mean, so many people insist to this day to call Jerry Lawler a pedophile, and that's because of a 1993 incident where a 13-year-old accused him of sexual assault. He was exonerated 100%. There was no settlements. He was cleared of it. Yet to this day, everybody out there, if they hear somebody making a joke about Jerry Lawler, if they didn't even know why, they Google it. This stuff, God bless. God bless. By the way, Eggplant Man, I got this. I Googled it and I got that Snap software. I called you Eggplant Man. I haven't installed it yet, but maybe on Monday.
We'll do it. We can have
we'll have
eggplants or something.
Yeah, it'll be the eggplant versus the fork. So people that don't know what I'm talking about, just watch this past Monday's episode.
Yeah, Mish was goofy.
Yeah.
Dude, here's the thing. Look, so I understand what you're saying, that if you're a good wrestling fan, then you've done the research in order to see what happened in the plane ride from hell. It's not as if those fans or most fans didn't have the opportunity to at least hear what had happened on the plane ride from hell. However, there's a lot of casual fans that will come in contact with this and just go, whatever. Whatever. More stupidity. What?
I'm going to go there. All
right.
You think Kobe Bryant committed sexual assault?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Right.
Any of you out there think there's a possibility that Kobe Bryant did what he was accused of back in the day? Now, here's my point. I don't believe he did. I think he was set up.
Well, then,
okay. But my point is that when he died tragically, and everybody's paying tribute, retiring jerseys and Hall of Fame and everything else,
right?
This story comes up. I had no idea he was accused of this. I don't immediately say, take his ass out of the Hall of Fame. That anybody paying tribute to him is fucked up and this and that. No, I was ignorant to not know that at one point he was accused of sexual assault. I don't immediately try to erase the guy's history because I was not aware of an accusation.
I agree with that. You're totally 100% right with that. But here's the thing. A lot of those people that say that they didn't know that Kobe was accused of sexual assault might genuinely mean that because they're fair weather fans, they're bandwagon fans, they're people that are just impressed by his sports highlights on newsreels at night, as opposed to being a person that followed his career intimately or followed the man intimately. There is a difference. Let's not even pretend that there isn't a different caliber of fan that will know everything about Ric Flair going all the way back 50 years. And then there's just a Ric Flair fan that's enjoyed what he's done in WWE in the last few years. There are two different types of fans. And even if this fan over here says they're a smart fan and watches all the Japanese wrestling now and watches all the Lucha Libre now, doesn't necessitate them to be in the same cool kids club as the actual long-term fans. So you're going to have a lot of bullshit where people are going to sit there and say, oh, I didn't know. And they didn't because they weren't around for it, because it was never on their radar. And then you're going to have a lot of fans going, oh, I didn't know, because they're casuals, are openly casuals, and are just like, no, I like Ric Flair, but I didn't know about this shit.
You think Parshield knew?
Nah.
They didn't do their diligence and simple Google search?
Why in the hell? Yeah, you don't. Look, doing a background research on somebody, first off, let's not pretend also that Ric Flair hasn't vehemently denied any of this stuff happening. So even if they did a background research on this stuff, I'm sure there's a lot of other things about Ric Flair that came up, but considering he's a celebrity DT, I'm pretty sure the background research was kind of skipped. I'm serious. I don't think that you look at Ric Flair and go, I need Ric Flair's credentials. No, it's fucking Ric Flair. Just hire him. Put him on there for a few bucks. We'll have him read a few lines off the computer screen. and now we have Ric Flair in one of our ads. Like, it depends. Ric Flair is a caliber level actor, caliber level personality, where he walks into a room and everybody should at least know who the fuck he is, even at this age. You know what I mean? If we're talking about somebody like, Zelina Vega walking into a room, they'd be like, oh yeah, she's cute. Who is she? It's not because Zelina Vega isn't a talented individual. Yeah. It's not because she's not on national TV. It's because you can't sit there and compare the star power of somebody like Zelina Vega versus Ric Flair. So if Zelina Vega did that insurance commercial and they found some stuff in her background, like her OnlyFans, that might have been something that company would have came out about. But Ric Flair, you know what? It's the exact same thing that Jim Ross said at the end of the level. He's a made man.
Yeah.
For better or worse, Ric Flair is a made man.
Yeah, he's Teflon.
Right.
Teflon. Now, out of this entire episode, one person, 95% of what we watched, we already knew. I think, for us, we already knew. 95%, at least. Tommy Dreamer is the only one that left me angry after the episode. Now, Tommy Dreamer today was suspended indefinitely by Impact Wrestling.
Yes.
Ed Norholm sent an email to the roster and staff making them aware that Tommy Dreamer was sent home. Leave the tapings, please. And he said that his comments were out of line of their core values as a company. So now, my question to you is, because there's a lot of people who feel like you, that, Tommy Dreamer joking about his hair and this, and that, maybe just a dumb timing of a joke, but a lot of people feel that, that was a little bit extreme because Tommy Dreamer was not one of the participants. And that might be a jump because, a lot of people feel that almost all of this was already out there. So Tommy Dreamer's been working for almost 20 years since this incident. So a lot of people like you feel that Impact should not have let him go. Or suspended. Well, that's why I wanted to say, what's your thoughts on this? What's your take on this?
Okay. So I'm going to fall in the contingent where I think that I've seen more people agree with you that Tommy should have been fired.
Well, I never said publicly why I think he should be bounced.
No, I'm not saying that. Okay, well, I see a lot more people saying that they were happy that Tommy was fired. They were happy
suspended.
Removed from Impact. The actual first notice that I got was Tommy was fired. So maybe that's changed to suspension. But the first people that were dropping the news on me was Tommy is gone. And he was fired over what he said on the Dark Side of the Ring episode, Plane Ride from Hell. There's 3 factors to this that most people aren't looking at. I personally bleed for free speech. You may completely hate, and you should. It should make you angry. The things that Tommy Dreamer said about Ric Flair and his altercation with the airline attendant. That should be infuriating to you. But I stand by his right to say it. And I don't think that he as a person should be punished for saying something, whether you agree or disagree with it. I don't think the man should lose his job over something that happened 20 years ago that he, like you said, didn't have direct influence of. I think that's unfair. And that's definitely un-American. The second thing you need to point out is this was edited this way. The producers at Dark Side of the Ring and the editors heard everything that Tommy Dreamer said and probably have a ton of B-roll of the entire conversation with them and Tommy Dreamer. They chose specific things to highlight what Tommy said during this interview in order to purposely put him in a bad light. And if you think news organizations and outlets don't do this, think again. They absolutely take the worst parts of a conversation because it adds to, like you said earlier, the drama. Oh, they couldn't get to sleep at night because they were orgasming. Yeah, probably. They probably saw those Tommy Dreamer contents and went taking it out of context on purpose and putting it with some of the worst scenes on that entire episode on purpose. They knew what they were doing to Tommy Dreamer, and they continued to do it anyways. And the third thing, and this is just my opinion, and this kind of goes with Joe. I'm not going to throw Joe into this, but, you know, we had the discussion with this on Friday when we did Wrestling Soup. Tommy Dreamer is a good soldier, and he was laying on the grenade for Ric Flair. I think what he said was awful, and I think it was out of touch for a guy who's still a part of so many young people's lives, not just in the business, but as fans as well. I seriously don't think that Tommy Dreamer feels that way in his real life. I think he was just trying to take some of the heat off of Rick. I think he was laying on the grenade. I think he was doing what a good friend and a fan does. That's what I think. I don't really believe that Tommy Dreamer feels like, oh, you know, it's okay to just accost women with your naked penis hanging out. Just lean them back into the airplane till they can't move. I don't believe that Tommy feels that way. And why would I think that? Because Tommy Dreamer doesn't have a history of this. Tommy Dreamer doesn't have a long history of being sexist or doing horrible things to women or being put in scenarios where he would echo the same exact sentiments about this that he would about his own life. This is not the Tommy Dreamer MO. So the fact that he went ahead and did all this for Ric Flair in bad taste because of the way it was edited, I don't know, man. I don't think he needed to lose his job over it. I think all the cards were stacked against him on this one.
Okay. Tommy Dreamer was suspended by Impact Wrestling. Magnolia Coy, welcome to the family.
Yeah.
Impact suspended Tommy Dreamer. In my opinion, they should have fired Tommy Dreamer, and I'll tell you why.
Sure.
I think Ed Norholm pussied out in the end. I'll tell you why. And I did not know your specific take on Tommy Dreamer. I know we disagreed on our thoughts of the handling of it by Impact, but
right.
This is my first reaction to what you said. And if it's a bad analogy, everyone, forgive me.
Fine.
This is spur of the moment reaction. You ever see the movie Goodfellas?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Ray Liotta.
Right.
Henry Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd he kill in the movie? Him.
Yeah.
Did he kill anybody in the movie?
Not
I can't
directly.
think of anybody.
Not directly.
Yeah. I don't recall him ever killing anybody in the movie.
Right.
But when Robert De Niro, when he wanted his money from Maury, and Maury was on the phone and he's pissed off at Tommy, I almost said Tommy Joe, when Maury was pissed off at Robert De Niro and he's like, I want my money. I want my money. Right? And then Robert De Niro took the telephone cord and wrapped it around Maury's neck and was trying to choke him. The scene I always remember from that is Ray Liotta is standing there and he's watching Robert De Niro wrap the telephone cord around Maury, and Maury is choking to death, and Ray Liotta's like,
right.
He didn't choke anybody or kill anybody, but he laughed. He didn't kill Billy Batsteff. Watch the movie again. He was a witness to a crime, but he didn't do it. He just stood there with the door locked, and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci gave the boots to Billy Bats. My take on it is this. In the year 2021, after what we just had with Andrew Cuomo being removed as governor, with the Me Too movement, with the infamous casting couch, with all of the stuff that has been talked about and brought on the surface about women should not be treated as objects, women should not be sexually assaulted,
Right.
that Me Too, everything else, when this incident with Ric Flair happened, if they would have played a clip of Tommy Dreamer saying this in 2002 or 2004 or 2005 when the lawsuits were about to be settled, then I would have still been upset, but I said, that's Dreamer's comments back in 04 or 05. Today's much different. And, it's like I said, look at Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette called this 5 days ago. Well, no, he said it a couple of months ago. He called the episode coming out tomfoolery. Taking a flight attendant, grabbing her hand and putting it on your penis and whipping it out and just being naked. People forget. WWE did a cartoon about this. I posted that cartoon on my Twitter account several times yesterday. Everybody that was on that plane knew exactly what happened, and WWE looked at it as a fucking cartoon. Peacock removed the episode, by the way, yesterday, for those curious. Yeah. But here's the thing. In the year 2021, Tommy Dreamer says, and I quote, this is just a part of what he said yesterday. He said, Ric Flair is not going to try to impose by force any sexual stuff on anybody. He's just flaunting, styling and profiling, doing the Ric Flair stuff where everybody's going to laugh at it. And obviously somebody took offense to it. Dreamer said that in 2021. This is just Ric Flair being Ric Flair. He's just joking around. I don't know any woman in this world, maybe other than a prostitute, where I could take their hand and put it on my penis and say, I'm just joking. Just playing fun. It's just joking.
That's why he was standing for Ric Flair. He was standing.
And that's why I feel he should be fired from Impact Wrestling. Not suspended, fired. This is why.
Okay.
I agree with you that in Tommy Dreamer's core heart, he probably likely doesn't feel that way. I'm sure if Ric Flair went up to Beulah and said, "Hey, Beulah, woo,"
right?
I don't think Tommy would say to Beulah,
"It's just Rick."
Right? It's just Rick. No, I think Tommy Dreamer would punch him in the mouth. But here's the problem: when you say publicly in 2021. Not just 200,000 people tuning in, but for the social media and the entire world to ultimately view. Whether you love Ric Flair or not, the fact that in 2021, you publicly try to justify a man grabbing a woman's hand, forcing it on his penis and saying, hey, touch it, touch it, touch it. It's okay. Woo, I'm Ric Flair. I survived a plane crash. 95-time heavyweight champion. I'm Ric Flair. Car shield. The fact that Tommy Dreamer felt that it was okay to say that because he cares about his friend, he's not changing his view in 2021. What is Impact? Ed Norholm, if you happen to see this, Ed, where is Tommy Dreamer going to change his views? What, in 2022? He's suddenly going to say, oh, no, I didn't mean it that way.
But we don't believe that his views are legit. We've both just stated that his views are baloney. And not only that, if you start punishing people for what they say, if you start costing people their jobs, start costing people their families for a personal opinion on a random show on Vice TV, people are going to stop talking, DT. You're literally enforcing an un-American right.
I agree with you.
It's very un-American to force people not to have freedom of speech. And I don't think it is.
Look,
you're literally
you could you could respect someone for taking a stance.
I can disrespect someone's opinion, though, too, DT.
Right.
I can literally tell Tommy Dreamer, hey, Tommy, your opinion fucking sucks. But I don't want him to lose his life and have his children and everybody else suffer because of something stupid that he said. Why can't we judge the individual without burning down the entire city?
Well, I wouldn't want to pay anybody in 2021 who feels that, if a guy forces a girl's hand that he doesn't know and puts it on his dick. First of all, Ric Flair walking around the plane completely naked except for wearing a robe. That if someone that works for me says, it's just Rick being Rick, all right, let him do it to your mother, let him do it to your wife, let him do it to your grown-up children.
But that's not.
I
But we
wouldn't
know
want to pay
he's
somebody.
lying. We know Tommy's lying. We know Tommy's doing this to take the grenade for Rick. Like, that's the whole thing. If Tommy really felt this way and Tommy was out there practicing this would be a whole different story. But we know that what Tommy said was a lie. We know that what they picked from Tommy's interview was set up to make Tommy look as horrible as possible. And we know for a fact that Tommy Dreamer is a huge Ric Flair mark. Look, and I understand, and Benjamin in the chat, of course, much love and respect to him. I know that that's not directly how freedom of speech works. But if you start imposing penalties for opening your mouth to anything, people are going to stop opening their mouth.
Well,
and the idea of our country being based in silence and not being able to voice your opinion is un-American to me.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. Trump. Yeah. I didn't vote for Trump last year. I have changed.
Definitely had a lot of things to say.
I have changed my views in a lot of ways about Trump.
Sure.
But you have Tony from Riva. Welcome to the family, my friend. Oh. There are tens of millions of people out there that can no longer publicly give their views or support for a president, in fear of being assaulted, doxxed. I mean, do people forget that some people might remember this because it came out right around the time Braun Strowman was shown hunting for deer. Somebody killed this cute little bear. I don't remember the name of it, but cute little bear or deer or something. I think it was a bear. I don't remember where it was, but he had a license and was allowed to hunt, and he hunted and killed a bear. Pretty sure it was a cub or a bear or something. And I watched people in wrestling, some people I used to respect, was saying, we got to get this person's address. We got to put it online. We got to put his job information on it. We got to let everybody know that you don't do something like that. Now, my point is this, is that when it came to Trump or came to other things, like you have tons of people that are afraid to express their views. A Republican, Black Lives Matter, how many people that said, yes, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. Nobody was trying to take sides. What everybody was trying to say, and I always felt this way, is yes, Black Lives Matter. And you need to emphasize it more right now because of the way, they would be singled out, especially percentage-wise amongst law enforcement. But I also feel all lives matter, that you don't treat just one group of people nice or respectful or good.
Okay.
But
let me clarify that
just for taking a view.
People made a mistake. A lot of people made a mistake and didn't understand the difference between what they were trying to say about Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. Both sides were not trying to be malicious. And there was a lot of anger from people that supported Black Lives Matter against All Lives Matter. And here's the way to describe it. The Black Lives Matter group is the house on fire in the neighborhood. You're trying to protect and stop the fire in Black Lives Matter. You're trying to take care of the issue that deals with Black Lives Matter. When you say all lives matter, the house is still on fire, but now you're making sure that everybody else's gardens are watered. Right. You're worried about everybody else equally, even though this house is on fire. So that was the problem that a lot of people made. It wasn't that Black Lives Matter was openly trying to diminish the value of other people and other cultures. It was just that at this time, Black Lives Matter was underneath the most duress. They were the ones that were facing the most adversity at this moment, and it was an emergency. But people immediately took that as like, well, what do you mean black people mean more than me? I have an identity too. And nobody was trying to take away people's identities. But that's unfortunate how a lot of people took it. And some people were malicious about it. Some people were just confused. And some people just chose to ignore it.
This is no hand signal, everyone. 3 words. Thinking about this for 24 hours. In 3 words, Tommy Dreamer could have avoided all this, could have kept his job, and I don't think anybody would have been mad at him. All Tommy Dreamer he could have said everything that he said yesterday if he would have just added 3 words at the beginning of his statement, and those 3 words are, in Ric's head. If he would have said, look, in Ric's head, he's not trying to impose by force sexual stuff on anybody. In Ric's head. Problem is, he didn't say it that way, so everybody believes it's in Tommy's head that it's just Ric being Ric.
Right.
And whether he did it for Flair, took the grenade, took the whatever, the problem is in 2021 with Me Too, sexual abuse, and women, not being treated equally, and a lot of this that Tommy Dreamer, caused a hell of a lot more negative attention to be on this than anything else. I think, because the problem is this. I agree. This is the problem. People could have wrote it off like, wow, look, in the 70s, when we do Patreon episodes, we do off-the-cuff stuff, I get the same question asked every few months. DT, if you could live in one decade, or if you could go back in time, where would you go? And I said, I wish I was older in 1977. Why? Because I got to go to Studio 54 once as a teenager.
Oh, I thought you wanted to be my dad. I was
No. I went to Studio 54 in the middle 80s, and, it sucked. I mean, it was what it was. But I always heard the crazy stories in the 70s. Even though I probably would have been too much of a wimp, I wouldn't have done drugs, I wouldn't have been in the bathroom having sex, but you hear about these crazy-ass parties like, oh, my God, anybody that's into house music in the early 80s, 83, 84, when house music started to come around, and that infamous song, Your Love, that was like the house music anthem before, Marshall Jefferson came along, all you heard was, people going to clubs and they're jacking. If anybody remembers house music, jack your body, move your body, jack your body, jacking. If anybody goes back and looks at the history of house music, they would say, oh, back in the 80s, we were all jacking in the clubs. What is jacking?
Well,
everyone out there, Google this. Mish is from Chicago. This was one of the birthplaces of jacking. Jacking is going to a club and a bunch of guys surround one girl and they're simulating sex with
ironically,
jacking.
It started in Japan too.
Well, yeah, it was in Japan. But my point is this. So now look, when you go back to house music and everybody talks about the 80s and jacking, or you go to the 70s with Studio 54 with drugs and people look back and they're like, wow, those were wild times. But that's not now.
Rolling some dice, guys. That's all we're doing.
Just rolling dice.
Rolling some dice.
But the problem is Tommy Dreamer made the biggest mistake. And that biggest mistake was to try to justify those actions in 2021. Yeah. In the 70s,
no, I agree,
and the 80s,
dude. Like,
and the
he
90s.
Really shouldn't have said that. I totally. Let me clarify my statement here. I wish he never said it at all. At the end of the day, I wish that he was aware enough not to even say this in an interview for a room of cameras that were surrounded around him for this show, for this episode. I wish he said none of that. And I wish that, his input wasn't as damning and damaging as it is. But like I said, I don't necessarily believe that Tommy Dreamer said everything that he said for those interviews. And I don't doubt for a second that because of Dark Side of the Ring wants to get its ratings, wants to get its notice, didn't take the juiciest parts of what Tommy said in order to elicit this reaction from the audience at home. They knew exactly what they were doing, and Tommy is kind of an idiot. He's kind of an idiot for even saying this.
I
totally agree.
I think there's a lot of other people in wrestling that in their head thought the same thing as Tommy Dreamer, but kept their mouth shut because they know in 2021 you cannot say something like that.
Yeah, no, he's definitely dumb for that. Totally.
Yeah, and look, people will continue to do these. Look at Jim Cornette. I'm not trying to throw shade on Jim Cornette. I enjoy Jim Cornette now than I ever have, other than when he was a manager in the 80s. But Jim Cornette, because he's beloved online, there's a quote of him talking about this episode. He already knew what was going to air and the preview. He was talking to the hosts and he knew what was going to be talked about. And he called it several times tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Tomfoolery is pretty much what Tommy Dreamer said. So when you start realizing that in 2021, there are some wrestlers that are still willing to call that tomfoolery,
but let's not even compare the weight. Let's not even compare the weight of what Tommy said to what Jim Cornette said. Jim Cornette said something about it in passing. Once again, out of taste, classless for him to say that. But it's nowhere near as damning as what Tommy Dreamer said. What Tommy Dreamer painted the picture as is that this is a normal, everyday occurrence for a person like Ric Flair. And it's like, I understood, and I still believe that he was trying to take the grenade for Rick, but the way that he did it was wrong. Instead of vilifying the actions, what Tommy should have done was he should have vilified the actions at hand and said that Ric Flair wasn't trying to be a predator, that he wasn't trying to do this. He should have said it in a different way. Yeah. He could have easily changed his words, but specifically the words that were captured, the words that were produced and edited that came out of Tommy's mouth, it's just some of the worst crap you can say in 2021.
So we had Tom Foolery and Tom Fool.
Aha.
Tom, you're a fool. You're a fool. Rob Van Dam, always loved that guy, man.
Oh, he irritated me.
Really?
Irritated me. You want to know why? Let me give you a reason why. And I talked about this on Friday. It's only the first 2 minutes that pissed me off about Tom or about RVD. We're talking about a significantly damaging, dark moment in wrestling history. We are talking about a documentary piece that affects many people's lives on that plane. And RVD still had to go at the beginning of this entire thing, go, my name is Rob Van Dam, and I'm the whole damn show. And I'm like, dude, we're talking about people getting drugged up. We're talking about people getting accosted, molested. We're talking about women being forced against their will. We're talking about somebody potentially dying. We're talking about guys hitting the side of an airplane emergency exit, terrifying everybody that they could have broken through the fuselage. But no, Rob Van Dam needs to point his fingers in order to introduce who he was. You know, if this was a documentary about Rob Van Dam, that would have been perfectly fine. But the fact that this documentary had nothing to do with Rob Van Dam and he still needed to get his shit in, that irritated me too. No,
I get it.
Let me give you an example. If Rob Van Dam goes to court, DT, does he go up to the judge and goes, can the witness please identify themselves? And Rob gets up and goes, I'm Rob Van Dam, Your Honor, whole damn show. What is wrong with him?
Some people have folded themselves, man. I was just trying to put a little smile on Dream's face. Shout out to Dream 101, who is a big supporter of the show, and he's battling COVID right now. So, Dream, hopefully, a little of our discussion tonight gets your mind off it a little bit. It's not going to make you feel better, physically, but battle. Be strong, my friend. Yeah. Do whatever you got to do. Listen to the doctors. And in no time, you'll be criticizing all my comments as always. So much love to him. Much love to him.
Thank you.
And shout out to Rams fan. I didn't know that he was tuning into the audio. Not Rams fan, Ray Guns 101. When we were talking about the Lily doll before. But, look, that was our discussion as far as this episode. Yeah. The Kanyon episode, a lot of people are already setting the table. They're already setting the table because, look, I'm not going to defend Ric Flair, and I'm not going to criticize him either, because the footage of him talking to Kanyon on Howard Stern has been out there for a long time.
Yeah, right.
This is a clip, though, because not everybody's a Stern fan and not everybody gave a shit about Kanyon back in the day. This is a clip where I understand when a lot of people were not aware of it. It wasn't big mainstream news. But right. Ric Flair, at that time, no one in a million years would have ever thought that Kanyon was going to take his life. So, when you watch the footage of Ric Flair putting down Kanyon, to me, it's rough to hear anybody in wrestling, just like tell someone to their face, you don't have it. You're not good. This is why WWE should never bring you back in this and that. It's not right to say now, and it's not right to say back in the day, unless you asked for the advice. Like, look, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Do you think that I can cut it? Like if somebody, because not a lot of people can handle that blunt truth. Some people love it. That's why even like I said, my favorite, one of the nicest compliments that I ever got was from Karrion Kross himself. And I'm not name dropping his name to tweet fuck, but I'm making a point. He used to enjoy all our shows before he even got into wrestling. And he said the one thing that he absolutely appreciated more than anything else about what I did and what other hosts did was that we spoke our mind and were brutally honest about what we said. And we didn't backtrack or take a step back because it's not the most popular thing to do. It's not even a majority these days to speak your mind and be blunt and this and that. Karrion Kross, how many people out there did you see for the last 8 months? Oh, no, he should drop the NXT title. Put him back right on the main roster. Let him feud with Roman Reigns. Let him do this. The guy is ready. Him and Scarlett on the main roster. Let them go to WrestleMania. And trust me, that probably pissed him off because in his head, I'm not completely adapted to the WWE style yet. I'm not completely able to shift and work this and this and this. That happens over time, but he's got people that are telling him, even before he came to WWE, many years ago, some people are telling him, dude, you got it. You got it. They got to bring you in the company now. You got it. And he said in an interview, he said that pissed him off because he didn't want to hear that from people. He knew inside he wasn't ready. But, you see, if someone seeks out that information and then somebody says, look, you want my honest opinion? Okay, here's my honest opinion. I don't think you have what it takes. I don't think you'll cut it. I don't think this. That's different. But the way it came across with Stern and Kanyon, that was not entertainment. That was not, oh, man, yeah, this is going to get attention. And no, this was something where Ric Flair was just an absolute asshole to Kanyon. And just really, as far as morals go, I think it damaged Kanyon even further. And because that's going to likely surface on this episode, I don't know if they could play the actual clip. I don't think they'll have the rights to it, but that's going to start floating around. And my God, it's going to make Ric Flair look like one of the most evil, horrible people around. And when you have other people writing off, grabbing a woman and put her hand on your penis, writing it off as tomfoolery, and everybody was just, it was like college parties and just Flair being Flair to say. it's going to make it even worse. And I'm telling you, Tommy Dreamer, I'm not trying to put any mental health stuff on Dreamer, but it's no secret that 2 years ago, he revealed that in 2001, he thought about showing up at WrestleMania and committing murder-suicide. The guy battles mental health. And, right away, people, it's just, I think people like Dark Side of the Ring, as much as they want to titillate and as much as they want to grandstand a lot of stories in wrestling over the years, they got to be fucking careful. They got to be really careful, especially with the way things are these days with cancel culture and mental health. Because if they cover a story and someone is really portrayed in a negative light, and I know what some people are going to say is, well, they got to take responsibility for their actions. But no matter what someone says, no matter how stupid it is, whether they should keep their job or lose their job, the ultimate penalty should not be to put someone in a horrible depression where they attempt suicide or, just get into a real dark area. I mean because
especially as close to Daffney as
this
is, you think there would be a little bit more minding
down the line. You know what Dark Side of the Ring episode we're going to have? The Dark Side of the Ring episode of Dark Side of the Ring. They're going to do a Dark Side of the Ring episode about Dark Side of the Ring. I know some of this is titillating and this and that, but take note. They're not going to bring up all the Wilden stuff that happened in the locker rooms and some of the shit that happened in the showers and the crazy bullying and stuff like that. They're not going to ever do that. Instead, we'll just tell a story and we'll do it. They want the titillating stuff. And again, I don't buy it for a second when someone says, oh, this episode made me lose sleep at night. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Seriously. You know who should have lost sleep at night? Heidi Doyle. Not some guy that...
And she did. I mean, if you go back and you just look at that interview, I don't know your thoughts on it, but of everybody on that entire episode, she is the only one that didn't trigger any bullshit alarms.
Not only that,
she still feels like she's dealing with this, and it's years and years later. And it's like, even when she was referencing it in her head, just the way that she spoke, the way that her voice trembled and the stammering in what she was saying, that wasn't staged. This girl didn't stage these emotions. I really think that to this day, that fucked with her, and she feels messed up by it.
Look at Melanie Pillman. Do we know if Melanie was aware of all the shots that they were going to take of her in AEW, calling her methadone, whatever they did? What happens if Melanie Pillman takes her life because everybody's calling her a meth head 20 years later? See where I'm going with this? I'll finish with this one point. Jim Cornette is featured heavily on a lot of these episodes, and Jim Cornette does a great job talking and giving his opinions. Jim Cornette has said many times that he commented about this topic or commented about this topic, commented about this, and it didn't make the final cut.
Right.
A lot of wrestlers, they didn't make the final cut. A lot of other wrestlers gave their opinions about Ric Flair on that day. In my opinion, I think Dark Side of the Ring should have been a little bit more responsible and say, Tommy, you sure you want us to put this on there? Now, if we find out, look, we checked with Tommy and Tommy's like, no, go ahead. I made my bed, I'll lay in it. Then that's different. Right. But there's a lot of other wrestlers that don't make the cut. You know why they usually don't make the cut? Because their story is boring.
Right.
It's not titillating. It's not sexy enough. And I think that somebody at Dark Side of the Ring should have said, look, I mean, I know this is going to, get all the headlines, but man, the way things are these days, I don't know if we should air that, what he said. So I think Dark Side of the Ring needs to be a little bit more responsible also, because I'm telling you, I'm telling you, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You know what's the sad part is? Something down the line will happen. And you'll see all these goofs online saying, yeah, you see, I told you all along something was going to happen. No, these are the same people that laughed about the U-shoots over the years. The plane fry for like they were laughing at every story that was being told. Oh, Rick taking his penis and swinging it like an airplane. You know how many times that's been talked about in shoot interviews?
Right.
And how many people that reviewed shoot interviews and would bring up that story and they would chuckle. They would laugh. So there's a lot of people, I think, with the excess outrage now who knew about the story that I think just want to cover up the fact that they were giggling about it for 19 years. So anyway, what do you all think?
Hey, DT, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
But I'm having some serious connection issues with this thing.
Okay.
Only with the that we use. They've been dropping out like a lot.
Okay. So what are you going to do? Reset it?
We're doing this. On my end, but
well, reboot your thing, and then we'll get into the draft stuff, and then we'll call it. All right. Mish is going to reboot his stuff. In the meantime, let me answer a few super chats if you don't mind. Tony Glass, do I think Vice protected AEW wrestlers? No, I don't think so. I don't think Vice has like an agenda, one way or the other. I don't think so. I see people online trying to be extremely protective about it. Look, none of this behavior is acceptable, period. Like I've said over the years, we've all said dumb shit and we've all made mistakes in our life. It's what you do since is what counts. Ric Flair, we haven't heard any stories like this in the last 15 years. Not that I'm aware of, so maybe they should have emphasized more that, look, it's, terrible. It's not acceptable, but, over the years, you learn with whatever, you mature, you grow up. But no, I don't think Vice was protecting AEW in any way. Shout out to Dream 101 again. Much love. We don't know if Dream knew what Heidi Doyle said. You means Dreamer. Yes, he does. It was lawsuits and affidavits and statements. Tommy Dreamer's given testimony in the past. There's been court cases. There's been lawsuits. There's been shoot interviews. Tommy Dreamer interviewed Terry Reynolds 3 years ago talking about the plane ride from hell. All right. They all knew. They all knew about it. So it's not like Dreamer had no idea. Everybody knew what was going on. We talked about it on the shows. How many times in the last, well, not 19 years. I mean, I talked about it in my hotline. You know what's interesting? I got to check the hotline because I have a lot of Black Hearts wrestling hotline episodes that I did in 2002, and it falls right in the plane ride from hell. I will almost guarantee you that I have some hotline episodes that myself, Matt Zombie, and Brian Damage, and even Timmy Arson did in late 2002, where we talked about this. So tomorrow, I should have some free time to go pull them and see what I could find. We'll see. And once again, shout out to Ray Guns 101. Much love, my friend. Again, go check out the Lily doll. If you were thinking about getting one, or if you know anyone that wants one as a gift, I personally think it's worth it. I mean, it's actually much better quality than I expected the teeth especially to be like plush material. They actually, now it could be cheap glue. I didn't want to pull too hard and break one out. I will admit, see the space between the teeth? I actually told my fiance earlier, I want to cut a little hole in it and put a cigarette in there. So shout out to everybody live. Great crowd tonight. Great crowd. I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. We have Impact Wrestling's Victory Road pay-per-view going on right now. And, it should be a decent card. Their rating this week, and I actually noted it, Impact this week did 105,000 viewers. That is down 6%, which may not be all that much, But last week they were down 11%. And remember, when Tessa Blanchard was Impact Heavyweight Champion, their ratings were averaging about 160 to 170,000 viewers. They're barely breaking 100,000. This is with an AEW wrestler being a heavyweight champion for pretty much the entire 2021. Impact Wrestling's got some major problems right now. Rampage last night, I watched it earlier today. Look, I love the back and forth with Ruby Soho and Britt Baker because it feels like there's some legit animosity there. You know, the thing that a lot of people need to remember, and I'm not trying to be the adult in the room, because trust me, I love the adult behavior with the verbiage, I should say. I like the cursing. I grew up huge fan of ECW. I like the salty language. But when you hear Ruby and Britt going at it, you know, banging someone in the back, you know damn well in TNA, you really couldn't say something like that. In WCW, you couldn't say something like that. You know, Scott Steiner would push the envelope sometimes, but even WWF, you couldn't say stuff like that. So sure, if pro wrestling could say some really outrageous lines like they've been doing, I think a lot of people would feel a lot different about what some people say. It's no question TNT is giving AEW more freedom now because of the viewership they're attracting. And they're attracting a younger audience. And this goes back to what I've been saying forever. The only people that should care about demos are the promotions, the networks, and the advertisers, period. So when you see that AEW is starting to attract a younger fan base watching TNT, that is important for the promotion, the network, and the advertisers. As a result, they're allowed to be even saltier with their language. As a result, you can get Nick Gage to close out an episode. There's a reason why, you know, light tubes were never used on regular TV or cable TV over the years. You had limitations. There's a reason why you don't hear people normally talking about someone banging someone in the back, because that's not stuff you would normally hear or see in wrestling. So when people absolutely love it and say it's epic and this and that, well, yeah, it would have been epic if they were able to say this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but they can't. I don't know if Ruby wins the title on Wednesday. I'll be honest with you. I think she should. I mean, obviously, Britt Baker is AEW's diamond in the rough. She has improved substantially over the last year and a half, but there's no reason why she can't win the belt again. So for me, I would definitely pull the trigger and have Ruby Soho win that belt. It would come full circle. It would come full circle. So she'll get so much publicity online. People that adore her in wrestling, especially, you know, they'll all come out to congratulate her. Britt Baker can always regain that championship down the line. You could even have a miscue. They're going to break up Rebel with Britt Baker shortly. So you could have Rebel's interference backfire. Use that as an out. Rojo Bear tweets about Heidi Doyle being a jewelry thief and, you know, ignore those people. I'm not going to comment about those people. Like, you know, it goes what I say, you know, like when people say dumb stuff on Twitter, like Eddie Guerrero is a B+ player. You know, like those are people looking for attention. Even if you're outraged by their comments, the fact that you actually tweet back, could you believe what this idiot said that Eddie Guerrero is a B+ player? No, you're using that person to push your statement so you could get tweet fucked and get all this love by others. It's just as bad as the person with the original tweet, because that person is tweeting for attention. You're using their negative tweet or stupid tweet so you could get attention. That's how the sausage is made. So no, these morons calling Heidi Doyle, those are people just looking to troll, looking to get attention. And no, we don't acknowledge people like that. Stupid. Smackdown yesterday, decent show. Now, hopefully we'll get Mish back shortly because, tonight was supposed to be about the draft. I have the entire WWE roster in front of me. And what we were going to do tonight is basically choose 10 people, 5 from Raw, 5 from SmackDown, we think are going to change brands and why. And I think we are also going to do a contest where all of you will be able to do the same. The great thing about this contest is you have a whole week to think about it. So hopefully we get Mish back momentarily and we'll give our thoughts on that. I think choosing 5 and 5, I think that gives everybody, a possible score of 10. But, I was saying this earlier. You know me, I always try to think outside the box. And, yeah, I've made the mistake of not tweeting as much about my ideas because I talk about it on the show. They get buried. And then someone else will hear the show, post the idea, and like everybody's like, oh, that's an odd. So I started doing that the last couple of days. I don't know if you noticed it. I threw a little idea out today that I purposely checked to see, and nobody wrote this online. If WWE wanted to troll, and I mean troll hard, what about this idea? Sonya Deville, Naomi. We see the storyline. Naomi's not getting an opportunity on SmackDown. There's this friction going back and forth with Naomi and Sonya Deville. What happens if Sonya Deville promises a match for Naomi but does not give her one, and then on October 1st, the first night of the draft, they draft her back to Raw, Naomi? She ends up never having a match on SmackDown. It was just me thinking outside the box as far as WWE trolling hard. How do you all feel about that? If she ends up never having a match on SmackDown, they move her back to Raw. I try to be creative with my trolling. So, what else? What else did I want to talk about tonight? So, Mish, hopefully, he just had to reboot. I mean, we don't have to have crazy internet connection, but Dayhawk, is there any news in regards to Lacey Evans? Yeah, she's giving birth soon. She posted a picture of herself on the beach last week, I think, and very pregnant and very beautiful still. And I expect to hear some news soon. I mean, the thing is, even if she gives birth, she's going to obviously stay home with her newborn for a little bit of time. Lacey Evans could very well return to wrestling, but she might be more inclined to want a part-time schedule. I don't know, but if you haven't seen it already, there is a picture online of her on the beach, and you'll appreciate the picture. So the results from SmackDown yesterday, as far as matches, this I find interesting. You got Biggie and Finn Balor. They beat the Usos, non-title match, but it was one of those championship contenders match. So down the line, they're going to have Big E and Finn Balor team up to get a tag title shot. I don't think they're winning the titles, but, still very interesting pairing. Rick Boogs over Robert Roode. They're trying with Rick Boogs. I mean, he's okay. Oh, we got Mish back. Cool.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm just reading the results from SmackDown and Rampage. Tony Storm and Liv Morgan. Everybody, I mean, I don't know, that match yesterday, that tag match with Carmella, and they're doing the nose thing now with Carmella like they did with Mandy Rose and others. Everybody's wearing a mask now and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not many matches yesterday as far as SmackDown goes. I mean, I'm looking at here, we only have 4 matches. And then, like I said earlier, on Monday, we got that 6-man tag. People out there, just enjoy it. Stop overanalyzing it. If you're going to complain, then you got to complain about the others. AEW's, giving us incredible shows. Oh, but it's happening at Grand Slam. Yeah. And when they go to other 30,000 seat arenas, what does that mean? It's still not a pay-per-view. Well, maybe it should be a house show then. My point is, I'm not complaining about either show having great matches on it. I think just AEW's got to start thinking about long-term feuds and not just be Jericho and MJF. You know, what happens with Danielson after this week against Kenny Omega? Does he win the non-title match and then it leads to a title match in November? And then what? CM Punk, Powerhouse Hobbs, and then what? What? Oh, Ricky going for the FTW title? You know, I don't know. I think people should just, if you're enjoying the matches and the matches are good and the name value is strong, enjoy it. So
let it play out. I think that's the biggest thing that people really need to enjoy about this, instead of necessarily winning about the ratings and everything else like that. Look at the end game. Yeah. You're getting better matches than you would have gotten a year ago.
Yeah. Rampage Lucha Brothers over the Butcher and the Blade yesterday. Fun match. You know, Anna Jay over the Bunny and Mira over Fuego del Sol. Again, when you look at next week, Hobbs versus Punk and others, is this what Rampage's identity is going to be? Is it going to be Dynamite Light? Is it going to be the third hour of Dynamite? Because that wasn't supposed to be what Rampage was designed for. But if that's what Tony Khan and AEW decides to do, I'm fine with that. You know, we need to know what the identity is supposed to be. Just like NXT, when people are complaining now about NXT, you and I had this great conversation on Patreon. It's a developmental territory again. So when people are like, who the fuck are these people? Yeah, that's what you're getting week after week. So, anyway. And yeah, Fuego lost his Hyundai. I think we all saw that coming. Let's talk about the draft. Oh, by the way, October 1st, the night of the draft, we're going to get Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, and that is a Smackdown post-dark match main event. As of right now, that is not airing on television. It could. It could, depending on the outcome of the draft. So now, here's the thing. I have in front of me, Mish, if you want, I can email you the list really quickly if you want to have the same list in front of you.
Sure.
Yeah, let's do this, everyone. This will take me literally a couple of seconds. This way we could all play along together. I'm going to email Mish the entire roster of Raw and SmackDown. As of now, it has not been announced that NXT is going to be part of this draft. Could very well end up happening. But even if you look at the banners that WWE has been showing about the upcoming draft, all they show is Raw and all they show is SmackDown. So as of now, it seems like NXT will not be part of this draft. That doesn't mean that we may not see a couple of quote unquote additions, even though, you know, it's not being advertised. But I'm sending Mish the file right now. Mish, you'll see a couple other notes on it. That's just my notes from tonight's show. But so we're going to focus just on Raw and SmackDown tonight. And what we'll do for fun, and I think what we'll do is let's give away. I hate just having one prize because, you know, it's, you always want to give away more than one, but at the same time, obviously, you know, you can't break the bank and stuff like this. So let's give away two prizes. And the top two scorers in the contest will win each their choice of a $50 gift card. You could choose Amazon eGift. You could choose WWE Shop. You could choose Pro Wrestling Tees, or you could choose AEW, one of those four. Or even PayPal. You got PayPal, $50 PayPal instead. So as far as the contest goes, this is how we're going to do it.
Okay.
Everyone out there in the comment section, not the chat room, in the comment section, you will be able to post your picks up until midnight. What's the day before the draft? That is the 30th. You'll have until midnight, late Thursday night, September 30th, to post your entry in the comment section. Any comments posted on October 1st will be too late. Do not wait until 2 Fridays from now to post your predictions. All you have to do is this. Now, obviously, we got to have a big number because we don't want to have 50 people, score the same number. What you're going to do is you're going to choose 6 wrestlers that you believe are going to be drafted from Raw to SmackDown, and 6 wrestlers who are going to be drafted from SmackDown to Raw. 6 and 6. You could choose men, women, whatever you want. But you also, out of the 6 for each side, you're going to choose one draft pick that you're behind more than anything else. I'll give you an example. Drew McIntyre. Almost everybody out there thinks Drew McIntyre is going to SmackDown. So when you predict your 6 Raw wrestlers that you think are going to be drafted to SmackDown, you're also going to, of those 6, you're going to pick one person that is your strong pick. And if that person gets drafted, then you get 2 points instead of 1. So when you pick your 6 from Raw to SmackDown, you choose one of those 6 that you say, that's my strong pick. And if your strong pick happens, you get 2 points. You SmackDown, same thing. You choose 6 that are going to go from SmackDown to Raw, and you choose your strongest one. And if that person goes to Raw, you get 2 points. So I think that's how we'll be able to break tiebreakers. The 2 points is just for tiebreaker. It's just for tiebreaker. If you don't have the highest points and one of your strong picks is chosen, you only get the 1 point. That's just for tiebreakers. So if your strong pick gets drafted, that'll be your tiebreaker. I think that's pretty easy for everybody. So again, pick 6 from Raw to SmackDown, pick 6 from SmackDown to Raw, and choose one from each side that is your strong pick. And if it comes down to the tiebreaker, if you get both strong picks, you obviously will win the tiebreaker. So I think that's easy to do. No, Sam, you could choose any 6 you want. What we're going to do now, though, is we're going to go down the Raw roster, and we're going to just briefly go over who we think is going to be drafted and who we would like to see drafted, even though if they're not. And I actually, hopefully this looks
Are we
all
throwing
right.
on the potential? Are we throwing on the potential of some of these people going down in NXT too, or no?
No, I don't think we have to worry about NXT because, like I said, if you look at the banner, I don't have the banner in front of me, but if you look at the banner for the draft, every time they show it, they show the Raw logo and they show SmackDown. No reference to NXT whatsoever. So
but you know that there's going to be people that are going to come up from NXT.
Sure. But we're just going to focus on
okay.
Who from Raw to SmackDown and who from SmackDown to
okay.
Raw. If we find out next week that NXT is part of this too, then we can always do a little piece next week just talking about the NXT possibilities. So I have like a little checklist that we're going to put on each side. So we're going to choose 6 also. We're going to give our 6 that we think are going to go from Raw to SmackDown. And then we will give our 6 that are going to go from SmackDown to Raw. Now, as far as the women Raw roster goes, we have Alexa Bliss, Aaliyah, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Dana Brooke, Doudrop, Eva Marie. I don't put Lacey Evans on there because obviously she's pregnant, so I think we could leave Lacey Evans off this list.
Fair enough.
Also, is Mia Yim still Raw? Wasn't she? They never officially moved her to SmackDown. Is that correct? I don't think Mia Yim was ever announced for SmackDown, so I guess yeah, we could keep Mia Yim for Raw. Nia Jax, Nikki Ash, Rhea Ripley, and Shayna Baszler. That's the women's side. So of the women, anybody stand out to you that you believe is going to go to SmackDown?
Eva Marie.
Okay.
Eva Marie found fame when she was on SmackDown before. Eva Marie and the Doudrop storyline feels like it came to a conclusion. Eva Marie can do better on her own being a troll on SmackDown, and it gives Doudrop a chance to stand on her own as a talent. I think the splitting of Eva Marie and Doudrop is just fine. And in order to finalize that, you may as well put Eva Marie on SmackDown.
Okay. For me, the first person I think of that could possibly go to SmackDown, I'm going with Nia Jax. I think Nia Jax, I think the split between her and Shayna Baszler right now, I think that split was done intentionally so they could, one will remain on Raw and one will remain on SmackDown. I personally think Shayna Baszler could be a babyface, but they may keep her as a heel on Raw, and by taking Nia Jax and just throwing her on SmackDown, Shayna Baszler could just be Shayna Baszler and still do what she does. The thing is, though, is it feels like Charlotte Flair has become a heel again. So Shayna Baszler may end up by default having to be the babyface on Raw. But I think Nia Jax, her and Bianca Belair, right off the bat, I could see that happening. But I'm going to go with Nia Jax.
Well, and not only that, but moving Nia Jax also might rekindle Becky and Nia too. So
yeah. Yes, absolutely. The interesting thing, though, is, Becky Lynch, now obviously we're not going to talk about the SmackDown women yet. We're just sticking to right now anybody from Raw that would go to SmackDown.
Just the potential reasons
why
some of these Raw roster women would be better fared on SmackDown.
Okay. Of the women on that list, anyone else stand out to you that could very well go to SmackDown?
I mean, my number 3 would be a big one. I would say.
Oh, wait. So you're choosing Nia Jax also?
Oh yeah, absolutely on my list too. Okay. Nia Jax would have absolutely been on my list as well.
Okay.
So I mean, if you want to go again, that's fine because I'll echo your sentiment.
No, that's fine.
Eva Marie was my first, Nia's my second, and if I got to pick 3 women, number 3 would easily be Asuka, because Asuka could revitalize her career on SmackDown and kind of get a breath of fresh air. I mean, I know she's kind of a Raw girl and she has a lot of history there, but bringing her back also to Becky, which is interesting too, because that's who passed on the belt to her. You can easily do something there with Asuka and Becky down the road as well. There's a little bit of history there, and Asuka, if anything, needs a new change of colors a little bit. So if they decide to, my fantasy pick would be Asuka to go to SmackDown.
I'm going to agree with you, and I'm going to say Asuka as well, because, she's been off TV for a while. And you could easily bring her back to TV simply by the draft. They announced her on SmackDown, and now she's got a whole crop of wrestlers that she could go up against. I mean, sure, we've seen Sasha Banks and Asuka plenty of times, but, it'd be interesting to see Asuka and Becky Lynch go at it a little bit. Asuka and even Bianca Belair a little bit. Asuka could, have some squash matches against some of the other women. So, yeah, I will choose Asuka as my second pick. I will tell you, of the women, those are the only 2 that I could see going to SmackDown. There's no one else that stands out to me that I think would go. On the men's side, so I have 4 picks left. You have 3, unless you want to change one later on. But on the men's side, this is your current Raw roster on the men's side. We have AJ Styles, Tozawa, Angel Garza, Bobby Lashley, Cedric Alexander, Damian Priest, Drake Maverick. I don't know if we could classify him yet, but he's been on Raw a few times. Drew Gulak, Drew McIntyre, Elias, Grand Metalik, Humberto Carrillo, Jackson Riker, Jeff Hardy, Jinder Mahal, John Morrison, Karrion Kross, Keith Lee, Lindsay Dorado, Mace, Mansoor, The Miz, Mustafa Ali, MVP, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, Omos, Randy Orton, Reginald, I guess he's on both brands because he's the 24/7 champion. So I don't
24/7 title is weird.
Yeah, I'm not going to put Reginald on my list, but Ricochet. I don't think Riddick Moss is on the roster anymore, so I don't know why I have Riddick Moss on here, but anyway, he ain't going to be one of my picks. Riddle, R-Truth, Shanky, Sheamus, Shelton Benjamin, T-Bar, Titus O'Neil, even though he's pretty much, part-timer, Veer, and the Viking Raiders.
Right.
So since you've chosen 3, I will go with my first pick, and I have a feeling this will probably be one of your picks as well. I think it has to happen. I think Drew McIntyre needs to go to SmackDown.
Oh.
Yeah, I think the fantasy match, the feud of Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns is a feud that Roman Reigns could have over that title. Drew McIntyre just seems to be in limbo right now. He got Damian Priest over a little bit more, but I think bringing Drew McIntyre to SmackDown immediately creates a feud between McIntyre and Roman Reigns. And I have said this 3 times already, and I'm going to stick to it. When we get to SmackDown predictions to Raw, maybe I'll keep it, maybe I'll change my mind, but it's not out of the question that Brock Lesnar gets drafted to Raw. Just having a Saudi Arabia match. I mean, it could very well happen. I mean, we talked about that a week ago before Saudi Arabia was announced, but for me, I think Drew McIntyre has to go to SmackDown. I think it just is a necessity. What say you?
Yeah, I understand why you make that pick. I could see them doing something with that. It could absolutely be helpful to his career. But my choice is a little bit bigger.
Okay.
In concept. I think if you're going to have Big E as the champion over on Raw, I think Bobby Lashley would be very interesting on SmackDown as far as a fresh change, as far as what they could do over there. I think if you put Bobby Lashley on SmackDown, you could change a lot of new storylines, especially with the power struggle between him and the Blood. I don't know. It's a fantasy pick for me. I don't know if WWE can see that through the forest, but for me, it's a fantasy pick. And I think that Bobby Lashley on SmackDown right now could really be that added extra pressure to make SmackDown a lot more fun.
Yeah. And MVP we would put with Lashley. So if Lashley goes, MVP goes with him. I think that's a given. So, in fact, I'm going to add MVP to yours because they go as a package.
Sure.
You know what? I'll leave it. We know MVP's in it because it's going to get all out of whack. I tell you, man, originally Bobby Lashley was not on my list. But I tell you, I mean, we don't have to stop at 6. We can go more.
Right.
If we'll just go through this list and we'll talk about whoever. So I'll be honest with you. When I think about it, the way you put it, I got to go with Bobby Lashley also. I think the Hurt Business going to SmackDown is a fabulous idea. And if Brock Lesnar stays, will Brock Lesnar stay?
Man, I don't know.
I could see him staying because of the Fox deal. I think Fox wants Lesnar on SmackDown. So, no, I'm going to say Bobby Lashley because I could see Bobby Lashley having a feud. In fact, I could see Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar almost immediately after the.
And I could see all 4 of those people screwing with each other. I could see cross storylines coming from that.
Yeah.
I want to kind of see the Hurt Business come back into its own and start making plays against the Blood. I think there's something there too. Hey, it's how long has it been since we've seen a heel faction versus another heel faction? Fantasy moment. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Who else, when you look at this list, you can even go down alphabetical order, like who else catches your eye that you think will end up on SmackDown?
So there's someone on this list that WWE has already hinted at that is going through a change that should have debuted by now.
I hope it's not who it is.
Has not. but has not debuted. And I
Okay.
would not be surprised if we see Elias re-debut on SmackDown.
Damn you. I'm not. I mean, that was gonna be my pick also.
That'll give
I'll
you the
put
other
mine.
one? Okay.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Look, we both agree. I got to go with Elias too. I think, they showed us Elias was dead, and now the promo stopped. So
Right. Well, he's dead on Raw. He burned it up on Raw.
Right.
Why wouldn't he show up on SmackDown? He literally said his goodbyes to Raw.
Yeah. So I think Elias with a rebirth on SmackDown. I could see him going up against Nakamura. I could see him going up against Rick Boogs.
Rick Boogs versus Elias. Come on, you got to have it. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
Or maybe like Mike in Brooklyn says, Elias to the unemployment line. Well, I think he has a lot of value left.
Elias has value just because people with their one-liners on Twitter, it's cute.
I know,
Elias,
we're just making jokes.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential still. So I think we both agree, Elias. Who else, looking down this list, who else catches your eye going to SmackDown? I'm looking.
I mean, if you want to kind of the low end layup, like
choose anybody.
They're not gonna mention his name on TV, but he'll be in the website results.
Oh, the supplemental draft.
It's not gonna be the regular draft.
Before you say it, I'm going to type it. You tell me if this is who you're thinking about. Ready? See the screen?
Yeah.
That's who you're talking about?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm thinking.
Get out of my head, dude.
I don't know. I was thinking.
Jackson Riker. He's not going to be a part of the main draft. They're not going to talk about him on TV. But being part of the supplemental draft, I can see Jackson Riker getting moved over to SmackDown.
I will not choose Jackson Riker just to be a little different. And people may remember that, I said that one of Drew McIntyre's foes, I think, is going over to SmackDown as well. And that comes down to either Jinder Mahal or Sheamus.
Right.
And I think the reason why they're pushing so much stuff right now with Sheamus and Damian Priest is because I think ultimately, I originally was going to go with Jinder Mahal to SmackDown, but after thinking about it, they are forcing the narrative with Sheamus and Damian Priest so much right now and nothing else. So I think ultimately, Sheamus goes to SmackDown, and you can do Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre any week you want. You're going to get a decent match. So I'm going to go with Sheamus as my next pick to go to SmackDown. I think Jinder Mahal will probably end up staying on Raw with Veer and Shanky. So I'm going to go with Sheamus to go to SmackDown.
That's fair.
Okay. Who else on this list catches your attention?
The only thing is I just don't want Sheamus and Drew next to each other. Not because they don't have great matches, and not because WWE couldn't put them in a tag team together. It's just we've relied on Drew and Sheamus on Raw for a long time, and I don't want WWE to fall into those old habits and rehab that same feud, those same matches on SmackDown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just I hope. I agree with you. Makes perfect sense. Sheamus and Drew on SmackDown is a good choice. I just hope that WWE is responsible enough to not drink and drive.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So, geez.
Looking down this list gets a little harder.
What
now.
the hell? There's a lot of people I just can't see moving. I'd like to say, I see a lot of people saying Jeff Hardy to SmackDown. I don't see any use for it. Jeff Hardy is a star player. The reason that you have Jeff Hardy is because people recognize his name. They recognize his matches. But I think Raw needs him more in other ways. I don't know. I guess you could. Let me throw out this wild card.
Mm-hmm.
What is the over-under, in your opinion, that WWE tries to shake off some bad press and moves Karrion Kross to SmackDown and perhaps even debuts his wife.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. Well, actually, you know what? I got to put his letters in capitals because I definitely would have. Why are you putting him in lowercase letters when everyone else? I'm not looking as I'm typing if people notice.
I mean, WWE is all about star power and giving, really bringing up some of the new talent. SmackDown doesn't have as much new talent as Raw, I feel. And if you bring Karrion Kross to SmackDown, it's like one last chance to really brush all this crap with Karrion Kross behind us that happened on Raw and give him a fresh breath after the draft.
I am going to go with a tag team. Okay. They really have not been able to be showcased on television much at all lately, other than dark matches and I think main event. But the more I see these two guys together, this is a tag team that I've wanted to see for a while. And we're now finally getting to see the cousins team up. I'm going to go with Angel Garza and Humberto Carriolo. Maybe I should actually look while I'm typing. Yeah, I say Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo to SmackDown.
That's not bad.
I like them as a tag team. I could see them going up against Roode and Ziggler. I could see them going up against the Usos. I actually think Garza and Carrillo to SmackDown actually is a very possible choice. So I'm going to go with them.
I like that. That's good. Okay. That's good.
All right.
I think those are all my picks, right? I think we're pretty much set up.
Yeah.
Is that how many? 2, 4, 6, 7. We did 7 each.
Yeah, I'm looking
7 picks
on the list.
Like 8 people. You got more?
Well, Ricochet kind of intrigues me a little bit, but John Morrison also, like, I'm thinking you got to get Morrison versus Miz at least once.
Yeah, that's why you can't split them up. Like, I know that they're single entities. I mean, Morrison and Miz, they're a tag team, but they're also single entities. I just don't see breaking them up. I think that would be a bad move.
I'm going to put John Morrison on there, too.
Wow.
I don't want to see – I want to see them at least have one match. It would really suck if their feud ends the way it did without them having – I mean, I still am holding out hope they have a match at Extreme Rules, but I'm going to go with John Morrison to SmackDown as well. So –
fair enough.
Yeah, so those are our picks, everyone, as far as Raw and SmackDown goes. We could keep, obviously, the list up here, but now we'll go to SmackDown to Raw.
Women.
Now, we'll get into the women first. Now, the women is a far lower number of stars, but here's your list. Bayley, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Carmella, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Natalya, Sasha Banks, Shotzi, Sonya Deville. I don't know if you put Sonya on there, but Tamina, Tegan Knox, Toni Storm, and Zelina Vega. Who stands out for you right away you think will go to Raw?
I don't know. I mean, the people that you have on there, what do you want to do? Like, Bayley would be the only one I would move to Raw. Becky, I would keep on SmackDown. Bianca, you got to keep on SmackDown. Carmella, I don't care what they do with Carmella, honestly. If she's supplemental draft, that's fine by me. Liv, don't really care about. Naomi, they need to do more with her in the blood. Why are they not interjecting her as more of the family than they have? I don't get that. Like, she should be standing there with everything that Roman and the Usos are doing. The fact that she's not integrated into that is, and I know she's out right now, but I mean, it's like she should be part of the conversation still. It's like when Paul Heyman isn't around, they still talk about Paul Heyman, you know? Natty, Sasha, Shotzi.
If you only feel one woman, that's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, Tegan maybe, Toni maybe, Zelina Vega. I want to stay on SmackDown for hopefully she has her Nia matches.
Let her manage Carrillo and Garza.
Put her back in as a valet, maybe. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I'll go with Bayley, but Bayley is just a long shot.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even, man, how do I say this? I'm not even invested in the idea of Bayley going to Raw, but that's the only one I can see that they would pick.
Okay. For me, looking on this list, I was joking about it earlier, but since so many people thought, wow, that's so wild and outside the box and it would be the ultimate trolling, I would laugh my ass off if they ended up drafting Naomi back to Raw without ever having a match on SmackDown, because you look at the Bloodline storyline.
Yeah.
She's been trying to get matches for week after week after week.
Right.
Wouldn't it kind of like, wouldn't it, if you think about it that way, how come the Bloodline haven't stepped up? How come her husband hasn't been in storyline, hasn't been seen trying to get her a spot? So after all of these weeks, it leading to nothing, I could see Sonya Deville saying, I drafted her back. I moved her back to, you know what I mean? Like, I could see her getting drafted back to Raw. In fact, I could even see it where it's a trade. I could see Sonya Deville. See, we don't know still who's representing Raw and who's representing SmackDown. They should have done a storyline where Sonya Deville was SmackDown and Adam Pearce was Raw.
Pearce, yeah.
That would have made total sense. But, you know, it would be cool to maybe get a guest GM, like representative on behalf of management. But look, we could ultimately get something next week where Sonya is on SmackDown and Adam Pearce is on Raw. So
right.
But I'm gonna go with Naomi going back to Raw. That would be some cold ass trolling, like Lee said. But I like thinking outside the box, so I'm gonna choose Naomi. Other women, I tell you, man, we need to have some women's tag teams on SmackDown. And really, when you see what you got right now, it's not all that spectacular. So taking additional tag teams off of SmackDown, I think is a really big mistake. But I'll be honest with you, I got to put Toni Storm to Raw. I think she just does not fit in with SmackDown. She had her debut, and they really couldn't do much with her.
Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you on that. I think Toni needs a fresh debut. I agree with you. If we're underneath the same mindset that Karrion Kross could go to SmackDown and refresh his debut, I'm on board with you about Toni. I think if Toni re-debuts on Raw, you can do something special with her. I'm down for that. That makes sense.
Okay. As far as the other women, I think Shotzi and Tegan stay on SmackDown. Tamina and Natalya, there's really no reason to move them. You could have Nia Jax versus Tamina on SmackDown if you wanted to. Becky Lynch, man, that is such a wild card right now because Becky Lynch originally was going to Raw. And then Sasha Banks obviously had to be pulled off of the pay-per-view. So they gave Becky Lynch Sasha Banks' spot and then decided to give her the belt on top of it.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch, and I got news for you, her doing the rock bottom, I think they're going to start using Beck with some of the names. I was thinking about, as goofy as it sounds right now, I'm telling you, remember where you heard it first. I think we're going to hear her call herself, they're going to call it the Beck bottom. I think you're going to see Beck do a couple other things, the Beckster. I think you're going to hear Beck over and over and over again. There's an annoying thing. I'm telling you. But Becky Lynch to Raw, man, I would love it. But the thing is, they're now so deep into that heel character. I think you got to keep Becky Lynch on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think you got to keep Becky Lynch on SmackDown. So, yeah, as of right now, I am not going to move Becky Lynch to SmackDown. I mean to Raw. I'm going to leave her where she's at. That's all the women. How many women do I have here? Okay, I got 4. M Crew 78. Much love, my friend. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. Thank you for that generosity.
Thank you, M Crew.
Thank you for the super chat. Much love. Much love. I love the fact we moved the show to Saturdays, 8 p.m. Not too late, not too early. And, it's not against the congestion of everybody else doing a show on a Friday night. Why have everybody competing for, a small live audience, So we do it a little bit more relaxed on a Saturday. Everybody's chilling a little bit. So I'm enjoying it. But thank you, M Crew. Very, very kind of you, my friend. So moving on to the men on SmackDown. And believe it or not, this roster is smaller as well. Now, a lot of people consider Edge a free agent. I personally think Edge is SmackDown, especially since he's fighting with Seth Rollins. So he's been
a SmackDown guy for a while now.
Yeah,
it's weird to classify him as a free agent.
Yeah, John Cena, I would classify as a free agent, but I don't believe John Cena will be drafted in this. Goldberg too. I don't think Goldberg would be drafted either.
Right.
So if you all want to include them, you can. But the names that are also on SmackDown, we got Angelo Dawkins, Apollo Crews. Can't put Big E anymore. Big E is not a heavyweight champion on Raw, so Big E is off that list. Brock Lesnar, Cesaro, Chad Gable, Commander Aziz, Dolph Ziggler, Finn Balor, Happy Corbin, Kevin Owens, Nakamura, Otis, Rick Boogs, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins. Even though we haven't seen Slapjack in a while, Shane Thorne, if you want to put him on there, you can. The Mysterios, the Street Profits, even though we said Angelo Dawkins already, but and the Usos. So, and Edge, obviously. So, of all the names that we got into, who stands out to you first? You think should be drafted?
Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. Okay. I want those two to go to Raw lickety damn quick. Lickety damn quick. Those two guys need to be on Raw, and we need to have a moment, even as heels, to have a guy like Aziz and Omos standing up against each other. Both of them big, big, big boys. And I think that if Raw is going to kind of like exemplify the big talent, the heavy hitters, you got to bring over Apollo Crews on the same level as an AJ Styles and Omos and Commander Aziz. I think that would be fun. I think you could do stuff. Yes, I know technically AJ and Omos are heels, but I think the fans really want to cheer for them. I think a lot of fans would rather have AJ and Omos's faces rather than heels. And I know Riddle and Randy Orton are clearly the kings of the teams right now as far as the baby faces go. I don't see people wanting to boo AJ and Omos. But Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz, yes, absolutely necessary for that. I am 100% on board with that.
Okay. As far as who catches my eye right away, I think Cesaro has done everything he could on SmackDown. He's not getting any more opportunities against Roman Reigns. I don't see, who he could actually even feud with right now. Maybe we would have saw it a little bit with Sami Zayn, maybe a little bit more. But I'm going to go with Cesaro to Raw. I think Cesaro to Raw is going to happen. I think there's still, I could see him going at it with Riddle, see him going at it with AJ Styles. I could see him going at it with a few other talents. So I'm going to go with Cesaro.
Not bad. Talented dude. He's not really getting traction on SmackDown. He might be a good shoe to fill over there on Raw. You're not wrong. And I mean, the only traction he got was with Seth, and we all saw how poor that eventually turned up, and it was completely forgotten. Cesaro is such a weird case because it's not a new guy. I mean, you think back, and Cesaro was there when Jack Swagger and Dutch Mantel were doing the We the People gimmick. Like, Cesaro's been around for a long time, and even longer than that on the indies. So it's amazing to me that a guy who has this superstar look, you know what I mean? He can deliver decent promos, and is a guy that everybody wants to naturally cheer, just can't seem to click. I'm hoping that he does something if he does go to Raw. I will agree with you. You can put him on my list as well.
Okay. While I update your list, I also added to mine Happy Corbin. I think they've done everything they could with Corbin as far as on SmackDown, and I could see him being annoying to Big E. I could see him going at it with some other guys on Raw. I think Happy Corbin goes to Raw.
Yeah.
I think Happy Corbin goes to Raw. Who else on this list stands out to you? You think will go to Raw? Interesting.
I
see one.
I see a couple that would make sense, and one of them that hurts my feelings. So if Seth Rollins gets moved to Raw, that will hurt my feelings. I don't like Seth, but what else does he have on SmackDown? He can't go for the title. The people in the title picture are too big for Seth. They're just physically too big for him. I can't see what Seth is going to do on SmackDown. I don't want him to go to Raw, but I see that as being a move. I don't even know if I want you to put that on my list, DT.
Okay, I'll take it off.
That's what I'm saying is, like, I don't know where I stand with that. I can see WWE doing it, and it would make sense for them to do it, but I don't want that to be my fault.
Okay. I'll pick one right now. I think will end up happening.
Yeah.
They got drafted last year, and honestly, I just feel that they have done the same matches over and over and over again. I'm getting a little bit sick of it. I'm going to go with the Mysterios going back to Raw, and then we'll probably have the official split between the two, and maybe they'll end up having a little feud on Raw. With 3 hours of Raw compared to 2 hours on SmackDown, I think you have more time to have the Mysterios have a little storyline amongst themselves than on SmackDown. So I'm going to choose the Mysterios going to Raw.
I have a few people hitting me up and saying Nakamura back to Raw, or Nakamura for the first time to Raw. I would agree with that if I didn't pick Elias to go to SmackDown. I think Rick Boogs and Elias will eventually have some sort of a combat in some way. It would make sense. Two musicians, one former musician and one current musician, getting into some kind of an altercation. Maybe there's more meat to that bone too. But you can't have Nakamura without Boogs at this point. Boogs has been the hanger-on for a minute. And I don't know. I think that they're better suited on SmackDown. I don't necessarily disagree with people that say that Nakamura needs a fresh coat of paint. Nakamura absolutely does need a fresh coat of paint, but I think there's more to him on SmackDown right now. I don't think you move everybody you can from SmackDown to Raw and Raw to SmackDown. I think some people just stay there a little bit longer and see what happens. Nakamura, the one thing that they are doing in the right is they're changing the environment around him. They've changed the look. They've changed the intro. They're doing a lot of things to at least try and make us believe that Nakamura has a good future ahead of him too. So I have to abstain from the Nakamura to Raw debate.
Well, I only have one more pick, and I'm going to stick to this pick. I thought about it. I said earlier that maybe I'll change my mind, but since I like thinking outside the box, I think Brock Lesnar to SmackDown was simply to set up Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And I think once that payday is over with, that they are going to revisit that down the line. I know we want to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. I absolutely want to see it. But there's got to be at least one shocking name And that's the only reason why I'm even putting Brock on this list.
I think Bobby Lashley is that shocking name, though.
Then again, you know what? I'm going to actually take Brock Lesnar. I don't want to put Edge instead. Either Edge or Lesnar, because Edge, he's done a lot on SmackDown already, and I'm thinking to myself, like, he's not going to feud with Roman Reigns again. He already went through, I know they want to do Edge versus Sami Zayn, but, and then what? You know what I mean? And then what? I think Edge going to Raw.
Let me throw out this name.
Rough. This is rough.
Let me throw out this name. So I know everybody is pretty much dead set on this person going to AEW. Everybody expects this guy to go to AEW, but I don't think WWE is going to give him up without a fight. I think Kevin Owens gets a run on Raw, and then they revisit the negotiation table.
Okay.
I think you can do something with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is way too talented of a wrestler, way too good at promos, way too beloved by audiences for him not to get another chance at doing something great in the ring. And even if he doesn't end up being the guy to become the next world heavyweight champion, even if he doesn't end up in that moment, it'll still give them a chance to showcase what he can really do. I don't want to believe that WWE just said, well, Kevin Owens wants to leave the company. I just don't believe that. I don't believe you get rid of someone that has done good business for you.
I switched mine back to Brock Lesnar because January is the Royal Rumble, and he can always win the Royal Rumble, and then he could face Roman Reigns again down the line. He could. I don't know what happens with Bobby Lashley, but there's no reason why they can't do a Super Show or a post-Raw dark match, SmackDown. I think you have to have a big name go to Raw, so I'm going to go with Brock Lesnar. Although I kind of lean towards Edge, but I like your Kevin Owens pick. Yeah. Kevin Owens pick, I mean, he's done everything he's done on SmackDown. You get some fresh new feuds on Raw.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. I could see him doing the Kevin Owens show and an interview in General Omos and stuff like that. I could see him rekindling some feuds. I like that Kevin Owens pick.
And let's be honest, Owens had a far better run on Raw than he ever did on SmackDown. Owens is more recognized as a good Raw soldier than a SmackDown one. So why not bring him back to Raw? And even if everything goes tits up and Owens' contract expires and he leaves to AEW, he still had the opportunity to give us fans here on WWE a chance to enjoy him one last time.
Now, of your list, what's the one pick that you really stand by? That if you were in a contest and you tied for the lead and it came down to a tiebreaker, choose one from going to SmackDown and choose one going to Raw. Who are your two strong picks of this?
My strong pick is for SmackDown, Elias, because I think they kind of painted that picture on Raw inadvertently. Even if it doesn't become main show material, I really think Elias is getting moved one way or the other. And for Raw, I really like Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. I mean, out of my picks, I think those guys have the most to gain out of everybody that I picked by going to Raw. I really do.
Okay. I'm fixing this. Make it a little neater. There you go. Yeah. So I tell you, not bad picks, man. I like
you have great picks too, man.
Yeah, I like almost every single one that you said. For me, as far as going to SmackDown, I got to stick with Drew McIntyre. I just think Drew McIntyre going to SmackDown would be big news. That feud with Roman Reigns is something I think a lot of people want to see. So I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm going to stick with Drew McIntyre. And as far as going to Raw, boy, I got 2 women going to Raw. I got 2 top women going to SmackDown.
Yeah, you do.
I am going to go with I'm going to go with Cesaro. I just think Cesaro has done everything that he could do on SmackDown, and
I agree.
Yeah, I just think that that's probably the only way you could go with this.
Yeah.
So,
and dude, I would look forward to matches between like Cesaro and Damian Priest. Like I'm actually salivating at the idea of these 2 fucking behemoths just kicking the ever-loving shit out of each other. Damian Priest versus Cesaro is going to be money. It's going to be a good feud.
All right. I want you to do something. Point to your list. Smile for the camera. I'm going to take a screenshot, and then we'll revisit this next week. All right? Oh, yeah.
Hold on.
I'm going to point to this.
Hold on.
Do whatever you want.
No,
I'm
I don't.
Gonna do this.
I have multiple cameras going. Oh, shit. That way.
Yeah, whatever you want. Just go like this. It's fine. I'm just going to go like this. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay. I got a screenshot. I wanted to have a screenshot so we can revisit it later. See, look.
Sure.
Yeah, look. See, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. So,
all right.
Well, we'll see what happens. But those are our lists, so you can see them one last time. So again, everybody, pick 6 from Raw to SmackDown. Pick 6 from SmackDown to Raw. That'll give you 12 points. And then choose your strong pick, 1 from each side. And if it comes down to you're in a tie for the lead, then those strong picks will come into play. So if you predict it right, you will get the 1 point. But if it happens to be your strong pick, then you'll get 2. And you might break the tiebreaker. If we end up with more than 2 winners, we'll figure it out. If it ends up being 3, we'll probably just give away a third prize. We're not, cheap like that. I think we're very generous on the shows, as all of you as well. But with that, I don't know, any final comments before we exit? I think we're good.
No, I think we did a great job, dude. I enjoyed the hell out of this episode. Sorry about the connection issues earlier. I don't even know what the hell that was. It was just random stuff. But hopefully everybody enjoyed our little back and forth debate about Tommy Dreamer and Dark Side of the Ring. I always enjoy our debates like that. I think that they're a lot of fun and at least interesting at the very least, So, and of course the draft.
Yeah,
it's fun to sit there and talk about what ideas and which characters and wrestlers we want to see on the opposing team, because we want to see new stuff. We want to see more and more, action tailored to our tastes. And at the same time, with everything else going on with AEW and WWE kind of pulling out all the stops, I think we're going to have a great draft. So,
everyone, if you're going to participate, you post your predictions in the comments section. And remember, you could post your entry up until midnight, late Thursday night, September 30th. Anything October 1st will not be accepted. I don't mean to be a jerk, but anything that's submitted on October 1st, in fact, I'll probably even post like a little entry list of everybody's. So we'll do it that way. But yeah, post it in the comment section, and also comment about what we talked about tonight. How do you feel about Dreamer, about Flair, about the upcoming Kanyon? Whatever we talked about, feedback. So much love as always. Mish, thank you for hanging out tonight, Saturday night, and we'll definitely talk over the weekend.
Absolutely. So we'll see you guys on Monday then, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Peace. Have a good night, my friend. Yeah, Monday's show is going to be a pretty light episode. Since we covered the draft, I think, in great detail. We already covered Dark Side of the Ring, I think, as best as we could. And I think both of our viewpoints on Dark Side of the Ring is very fair. Still, post your feedback. But anyway, earlier I shouted at our VIPers, our elite channel members. And yes, I will do that early on the shows from now on. I always seem to forget until the very end. Everybody you see right now are our channel members as well, and thank you for your support as always. Anybody that became a channel member tonight, I will add you to the list late tonight, and you'll start seeing your names pop up starting Monday. And check out the other episodes. I mean, Thursdays was pretty wild, having those 20-some-odd-year-old sugar treats from WWE and WC. Oh, I got a doozy coming for all of you. I don't remember the name of it, but one of you reached out to me and asked me for my address. Somebody is sending me brand new in the box. I don't even know what it is. I haven't looked it up yet, but it's an inflatable Goldberg. It's an inflatable Goldberg from 1999. You blow it up, and then you put batteries in it. And supposedly every time you punch it, it talks back to you. It trash talks you. So I am going to take it out of the box probably next Thursday, blow it up, put batteries in it, and we'll start beating the shit out of Goldberg on this show. And if it pisses me off and it talks back to me too much, then I will get a razor blade and I will pop that shit live on the show. I will pop it like a zit. So hopefully the thing works. If it doesn't work, then it's an epic fail. But someone said, oh, DT, I got the perfect thing for you. For everybody out there that can't stand Goldberg, now we will be able to beat him up. We will punch him. Or I will purposely take the batteries out. So you say nothing, Goldberg. You sit there and take it, bitch. All right, everybody. On your way out, if you enjoyed tonight's episode, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free. Remember, it's free. And, hit those notifications whenever we announce shows. You'll be first to know about it. And we'll be back Monday night. Yesterday night, I posted round 2 in the favorite comfort foods tournament on Patreon. So vote in that round 2. And that's it. Oh, before I forget, to my channel members, the Q&A from last week, I ended up redoing it. And the reason being is because some of the questions were submitted before Big E won the championship. So now, because Big E is now the champion on Raw, some of your questions obviously changed significantly. It would be absolutely stupid to answer them outdated. So if anybody that's a channel member, you go to the community section, go to the post where everyone else left their questions for the Q&A. Tomorrow afternoon, I will be recording the members-only Q&A right here. It'll be online. So if you have any last-minute questions you want to submit, here's your chance. Because tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to be posting the next Q&A for everybody. So, I'm going to blow up. I'm going to beat up. Think about this. I'm going to blow up, beat up, and then blow up Goldberg. I'm going to blow it up with air, and then we're going to punch it a few times. And when we get tired of punching it, I'm going to get a razor blade, and I'm going to blow it up on the show. Not like explosives. It's an air-inflated thing. We will blow up, beat up, and blow up Goldberg again. I hope it's as good as this person said. Said, DT, you will laugh your ass off. So I'm still waiting on some other food items. Someone is sending me WWF Superstar cookies from 1991. Dares me to open the box up and eat it. Someone else is sending me WWF Superstars fruit juice from the 90s. Someone is sending me Macho Man Randy Savage Slim Jims from the 90s. I don't think I would eat Slim Jim from the 90s. But, hey, if it doesn't smell bad, if it doesn't taste bad, but I will not lie to you. I'm not kidding. Thursday night, my throat was a little scratchy right before I went to sleep. And I gargled on mouthwash. I think it was totally unrelated. I think my voice was just strained from talking so much this week. But I felt fine. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out from Thursday. I put 3 timestamps. The WCW one was pretty cool because I had no idea that if you make candy, if you make it in a pot and it's all liquidy, and right before it becomes a solid, if you put CO2 in there, and CO2 is like Soda Stream, like when I drink club soda on the shows, if you put a little CO2 mixed in with the sugar mixture, when it hardens and becomes a candy, the CO2 bubbles get trapped inside the candy. That's why when I took this Thursday, which is 23 years old, and I poured water in it, it looked like soda. There was all carbonation. It looked like regular soda, bubbles and everything. That's because the CO2 bubbles were trapped inside the candy for 23 years, and putting water released the bubbles. Go figure. That's how they do Pop Rocks. You add CO2 to candy and you got Pop Rocks. I never knew that. I thought it was the carbon dioxide you put on a cut. That's carbon dioxide, not CO2. But yeah, great science, right? All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Much love. Thank you for hanging out tonight. If you're checking this out on the replay, thank you for your support as always. Much appreciated. You know, as you see, we love to engage with all of you out there. I always say news and discussion without the hate and the clickbait, but we also engage without the rage. And I know I'm trying to be rhyming. You know, I'm a poet in case you didn't know it. But seriously, you know, news and discussion without the hate and clickbait, and we all engage without the rage. You know, there's so much hatred online, especially social media. I mean, hatred. It blew me away simply because we got this match on Raw. There's hatred out there. And then because some people compare that match to Danielson and Kenny Omega, why are you giving that on free TV also? Like, people get angry at that. I mean, some people just really need to redirect some of their anger and their priorities. For us, we're getting kick-ass shit on TV. That's all that should matter to us, right? So thank you, everyone. Dream 101. Feel better again, my friend. You know, just take it easy for a few days. Hopefully you don't get any, you know, extended COVID. But just rest, relax. Don't, you know, get nervous and upset. You know, just relax. I also heard sleeping on your stomach helps. Do not take medical advice from me. But I did hear that a lot of people sleep on their stomach. For some reason, that seems to help. So that might be something you want to look into or talk to your doctor about. But, yeah, that's it. Everyone, much love. I see you Monday night. Ciao, everybody. Don't forget to participate in the contest, too. You got a whole week. Don't wait till next 2 Fridays from now. Actually, you got 2 weeks. You got 13 days. Do not wait till October 1st. I'm going to feel bad. Once I post a comment, hey, anybody below this line is in the contest. Anybody above this line, sorry you didn't make it in time. I don't want to, you know, ruin it for everyone. I'm probably going to put a list of everybody's names. Oh, if you alter your entry, if you alter it, if you edit your entry, it's disqualified also. I probably will post a thread in the community section with everybody's entry, because I know what some people do. After the draft happens, they will go back to their comment and they will edit it and change a couple of names around. And there's no way to determine if the edit was done before the draft or after the draft. So my advice to you is do not edit your picks, because in the community section, I am going to post probably everybody's entries. And, you know, if you edit it, you're probably going to just end up screwing your entry up. So, all right, everybody. Bye-bye.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.